Hajime is an average guy who, just like you, has terrible luck and zero rizz. Imagine being summoned to an Isekai world only to be the lowest tier character. However, our guy doesn't give up and ends up doing the craziest of things just to survive with the lemons he was dealt. Hajime wakes up in the depths of a labyrinth that's pitch black like my ex-girlfriend's heart. He tries to find a way up the higher floors only to encounter a cute rabbit, which makes him wonder why there's a weak-ass monster on the deep floors. Just then, two angry-looking wolves show up only for the rabbit to defeat the first one with a lightning-fast kick. The second wolf even uses a magic attack, but the rabbit casually defeats it by using its short-range teleportation skill. It shows up in front of Hajime and uses its lightning-fast kicks on him, almost plucking his extra-large head off. Just then, a bigger monster shows up, making the rabbit run away immediately. However, the new monster unleashes some shiny claws that can be thrown to a target. The flying claws chops off the rabbit's head, so the monster goes to eat it while our useless protagonist watches in terror and fear. He tries running away as fast as possible, but the monster uses its claws to chop off his left arm. He watches as the monster munches his arm like McDonald's fries, so he uses his transmutation skill to dig a hole in the rock in an attempt to hide from the monster. Unfortunately, the monster isn't ready to give up on him, and proceeds to chase after him until he finds himself in a small cave where there's a holy crystal formed from the solidification of mana. He recalls reading a bunch of stuffs about the holy crystal in the library while he was trying to gain knowledge, since he was useless when it came to fighting and only had a transmutation ability. Some days earlier, he, along with some other classmates who were summoned to the magic world, began their first ever labyrinth exploration. Unfortunately, they fell into a trap where terribly drawn CGI monsters and skeletons attacked them from all angles. He tried to create a barricade using his skill, and the captain of the army, Neld, actually left him behind, promising to rescue him. More like, thank you for sacrificing yourself, dude. And that's how he found himself stuck in the dungeon, about to lose his freaking mind. With no hope of defeating the overpowered monsters, he steals his resolve and lures a wolf into the cave and traps it. He chews the raw monster meat that tastes like misfortune, and as a result, his cellular structure is altered and his hair turns white. After digesting the monster meat, Hajime gains some new skills from the monster. He ate, so he uses the newly acquired lightning spell to roast the leftover meat. With his transmutation skill and lightning ability, the first thing he makes is a gun, because he got that American dog in him. With his new weapon, he goes on killing, eating, and leveling up on monster meat for several days, gaining new skills like teleportation and aerodynamics. Back at the city, Captain Meld gives a report of the incident to the king, who tells him along with Koki the hero to forget about Hajime because he was a useless cannon fodder. It turns out a whole classroom of students, including their homeroom teacher, were summoned as heroes to help the humans win a losing war against the demons. That night, while training, Shizuku notices Hayama, who is also summoned, acting suspicious, with guilt written all over his face. She recalls how he always picked a fight with Hajime, so he simply assumes he liked Kaori, who in turn liked Hajime. You know, the cliche high school love triangle bullshit. Meanwhile, Hajime finally arrives at the bottom of the labyrinth, where he prepares his weapons before opening the huge door. When he tries to open the door, he is repelled away and the two giant petrified monsters beside the door come alive. He quickly blinds the first Cyclops to avoid a 2-on-1 situation and moves to battle the other guy, who has a strong defense. He wastes so much armor on the monster, and after a while, he finally lands a hit on its eyes, which is its weak point. As the cannibal that he is, he skins the monsters, obtaining some orbs that fit in the huge door. Once inside, he finds a mysteriously beautiful place with a core in the middle. He finds a blonde little girl chained, and since he isn't a lolicon, he bids her farewell, ready to disappear before any human rights activists appear. The girl begs him to release her, but he refuses again, prompting her to explain that she was betrayed and sealed since she was the last pure-blooded vampire. Touched by her sob story, he channels all his mana into freeing her from the 1,000-year-old seal. Immediately, she is free. A monster attacks from behind, so Hajime shields her from the projectiles. The crab monster blocks their escape route, and as a result, Hajime battles it head-on, using his gun to fire at intervals even though they don't do any damage. Seeing that he is stuck in a stalemate, the blonde vampire named Yu casually sucks his blood in the middle of the intense battle. After eating her fill, she summons a powerful blue flame that seems to damage the crab a bit, although she too collapses from the after effects. Hajime then draws the monster away from her, giving her enough time to cast the spell on the exact same spot again. This damages its incredibly thick shell, allowing Hajime to blast its inside until it dies. After the battle, he asks her if she knows how to get back to the surface, to which she responds that she doesn't, but she's aware the labyrinth was built by one of the legendary mavericks who fought against the gods of the world. She suggests that he goes deeper, like my girl says, every night, and hopefully they'll find the divine magic left behind by the maverick who built the labyrinth. So they soon find themselves in the maverick's lair, a fancy place where a giant giant magic circle summons a 5-headed dragon. Each head of the dragon attacks them simultaneously with different elemental spells. Although their counterattacks seem to do some damage, the dragon simply regenerates at a very high speed. Yu goes for the offense while Hajime provides support until he can get a clear shot. They soon learn that the other heads protect the white head because it has healing attributes, so they decide to focus all their attention on dealing with the white head. When Yu is hit with a spell, Hajime heals her with holy water, which is absurd because aren't vampires supposedly allergic to it? Oh well. He kisses her in case they both die, and together, they give their all in the battle, unleashing barrages of spells until the heads are weakened enough. He then unwraps his new railgun that blasts off 2 of the dragon's head in one shot. Meanwhile, he uses the last of her magic to destroy the remaining heads, only for a new one to pop up, catching them off guard and causing Hajime to shield her from its deadly attack. When collapses from the damage, Yu quickly moves him out of the way of the dragon's attacks. She pumps every holy water he has reserved into him, but nothing really works. In the dumbest move of the century, she takes his gun to somehow defeat the dragon, and as expected, she is blasted away. Just when the dragon charges its last attack, to finish her off, Hajime saves her just in time. He explains that on the brink of death, he somehow leveled up and can now keep up with the dragon's speed. He goes on to plant some grenades in the roof, which he shoots, causing the roof to collapse on the dragon. Once it is stuck under the rubble, Yu blasts it with the most powerful magic in her arsenal, after which they both collapse from exhaustion. When he wakes up, he finds himself naked. So Yu explains that she had to drag his sorry ass from the battlefield to where they were now. They begin to explore the Maverick's lair, where they find a huge house. Although most of the rooms are sealed, they soon arrive at the Maverick's office, where they find his corpse posing in a chair. As soon as Hajime walks into the magic circle in the middle, a recording of the Maverick begins to play. The Maverick named Oscar burns the knowledge of the world into Hajime's head, and he learns why they rebelled against the gods. However, Hajime doesn't give 2 shits about saving the world and takes Yu to the place where he inherited an ancient magic called creation magic from Oscar. In a book, they learn that there are other labyrinths of Mavericks, where they can obtain ancient magic if they plan on returning to Japan. Hajime uses the creation magic to make a prosthetic arm and other cool stuff like cars and machine guns in preparation for their next adventure. They continue to goof around for some time, after which they use the teleportation circle to exit the labyrinth. They are transported to a wilderness where they encounter a bunny girl who's being chased by some monsters. The girl seems to have been expecting them, but they simply ditched her because of her NPC energy. They soon encounter a colorful dinosaur that roars at Hajime, so he headshots it without hesitation. The bunny girl introduces herself as Shay and begs them once again to save her family. She latches onto Hajime no matter how many times he rejects her fugliness. Shay claims to be a beautiful babe, even cuter than you, but Hajime tells her he isn't a boobs man. Anyways, she explains that she was banished from her village because she can use magic, unlike regular beast people who are all muscle brains. After much persuasion, they agree to help her, and in exchange, she'll become their guide when they want to locate the next labyrinth. Thanks to Hajime, the dispute between the different tribes in the forest is quickly settled without bloodshed. Afterwards, Shay leads them to the entrance of the second labyrinth, a giant tree where they find a small monolith. He fits the ring. He ripped off Oscar's corpse into a space, but it turns out they needed more rings to open the doorway. Hajime assumes that they'll have to clear the other labyrinth before coming back here, so they decide to head out along with Shay. While traveling, they stop by a town where the guildmaster pushes a quest on them. Even though they aren't adventurers, the guildmaster explains that he wants them to find a missing person who was abducted, and after a lot of negotiations, Hajime accepts the mission and heads to a farming town where the missing person whose account was last seen. When they arrive at the town, Hajime stumbles on his teacher, who is working as a farmer, along with the other students who were too scared to fight in the labyrinth. Although she instantly recognizes him, he tries to deny it and brush her off. He totally ignores her and shamelessly flaunts his harem girls at his virgin teacher. Later that day, he breaks into the teacher's room while everyone is asleep and reveals what Oscar showed him: how the gods make humans and demons fight wars just to entertain themselves. For leaving, he reveals that the real reason he was left in the dungeon was because someone targeted a spell at him, and that's why he wants nothing to do with their merry bunch of betrayers. Some days later, they find out that the farming town is about to be invaded by demons, so the teacher begs Hajime to help them protect the town. Since Hajime has a soft spot for his dear teacher, she convinces him to help them prepare for the demon invasion. While in the village, he also tames ever-horny dragon folk named Tio, who begs to join him on his journey. However, he calls her a pervert who should be locked away for eternity. When the demons show up, everyone goes all out like it's code warfare, and even Tio uses her purple magic to deal with the enemy. He takes care of the aerial opponents with her lightning magic while Hajime rides with Shay to the battlefront as the ground force. They make their way through the weak demons until they corner the leader of the invasion, who turns out to be Shimizu, a classmate of theirs who has sided with the demons. Sometime later, a guy named Endo happens to come across Hajime's party in a town where Hajime is now regarded as a big-shot adventurer. He begs him to save the hero's party who are stuck in the labyrinth after encountering a powerful demon that tried to convince the hero to join their side. When he refuses, she attacks them with some weird-looking monsters who are leagues above them. The only people who manage to dent the monster are Shizuku and Koki, although the monsters easily regenerate before they catch their breath. Endo, who succeeded in getting away thanks to his ninja class, begs Hajime help his classmates, but he tells him he could care less if they died. Hajime bluntly refuses to save them at first, but when the guildmaster promises to reward him handsomely, he changes his mind. Just when Shizuku and the others are about to be punched to death, the two giant monsters are defeated in one shot. Hajime shows up like a badass in front of all his classmates, including Kaori, who freaks out when she sees him flirting with you. He tells the demon to buzz off if she doesn't want to die, making her mad that a mere human has so much balls. Hajime easily one-shots all the monster. She made invisible while also defeating every beast that he encounters like it's cakework. The hero party all watch in disbelief that Hajime has become so overpowered, but they are further mesmerized when he deflects the magic of the strongest monster and even defeats it. When Hayama learns that Hajime is still alive, he becomes agitated because he is about to be exposed as a backstabbing asshole. Watching Hajime's team body all her monsters like it's nothing, the demon tries to escape only for her path to be blocked by Hajime. He kills her like it's his daily routine, causing Koki and the other softies to tremble in fear that they might be next. After saving his classmates in the labyrinth, the group leaves the city in search of the next labyrinth,